Mark,
What's happening?
not much. What's going on? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Just ready to dive into some more Dark Crisis.
Yeah, we got a couple of tie-ins this week. Dark Crisis, Young Justice, and then we have the Flash. Both are part twos of their tie-ins, and then we will also talk about San Diego Comic Con that happened this past weekend. Right after this. We are back with episode number 8 of DC Dark Crisis Deep Dive. We might have to change the title, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Um, this week we have two. We had two tie-ins this week. We had the Dark Crisis Young Justice, and then we had part two of the Search for Barry Allen in the Flash number 784. So let's talk about those first. Let's talk about Young Justice first. It was a different issue. I'll say that.
Yeah, most definitely. The first one leaned heavily into the team dynamic of the individuality of these characters since the last time we've seen them and how they even questioned that in themselves. And this one, we really didn't get much of that. This one almost seemed like more like an episode of a cartoon, to be honest with you. It's kind of just seemed a little odd.
Right. So they start off the issue. They are still battling their old foe, um, and Cassie basically takes care of them, and they start to realize even more that things are kind of out of whack. Although for Connor, he's coming to accept it more than it seems the other two are. And one of the things that I think that really came through in this issue for me anyway was what brought the things to the front, and we'll get to it, is um, really how they're playing into the fact that these three are almost the forgotten three, right? In some ways, and that they were destined at one point to be the new Superman, the new Robin, the new Flash, and now they've been usurped by other people. Um, but we move from they're battling one old villain almost immediately to battling another old villain, Tora, and they jump back into an old the super cycle. So they're really kind of pulling things from the past, um, really to the point that it almost kind of hits you over the head. How much they're doing that.
Yeah,
So they're pulling.
on the nose would be selling this issue short. Like
Right.
everything about this issue is on the nose.
Right, exactly. They're pulling old characters. They're pulling old. They pulled the old Watchtower from from space. In the and the members of the Justice League that are there are the old Watchtower Justice League as well. Kyle Rayner is there, and everything. So, but people are saying and doing things that still just seem a little bit askew, for lack of a better term. Um, they do at one point. Tim Drake mentions Damien and John, and Cassie's like, I have no idea who those people are. So again, so it's not just that they're in a different reality; they're in a reality where some people have not even, don't really even seem to exist. Um, and again, as as Tim and as Bart seem to really kind of say, okay, this just doesn't seem right. Connor is again seems to be becoming more accepting of where he is. At one point, he says maybe this is even heaven. You know,
Yeah, he's not wanting to go back, I don't think. He's so unhappy with the real world that he's willing to sacrifice the real world even though he knows that this is all an illusion. He just doesn't care.
right? Um, and we have discussions. Again, Cassie says some things, and Bart says, why would she say that? Um, Tim is talking to Batman, and Cassie says, you want to, when you're dating, Stephanie, and
Again.
and Tim says, but I'm not dating Stephanie, and I want to date Bernard, and Batman says, well, that's just a phase you're going through. And you know,
Why would Batman say this?
right, right.
So
Um,
them even knowing it's this isn't none of this is right, they're not happy or willing to participate in this. Where again, Connor's just like, yeah, maybe we should.
right, right. Um, Whereas, Tim is saying, Batman would never say that. Um, you know, uh, Bart says, Wally's off. Barry would know that I wasn't joking. Those type of things. And then Cassie says, but you get to be the new Flash. Again, so we've had in the same issue, we've had someone talk to Tim about being the new Batman, and we've had someone talk to Bart about being the new Flash.
And this was all
Um,
happening simultaneously, right? Like it isn't
right.
like this is one like she's in more than one place at one time, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, exactly, and that comes to pass because when they're talking about her, uh, she happens to be at all of those conversations where the mentor is talking to the legacy character about
Mhm.
taking over. And so people are like, how can she possibly be, at every place at every time? And then, we have twice actually, once in the middle of the issue, and then again at the end, or towards the end, we jump back to where we assume the real Cassie is. Um, and she's with Sissy, and then we get to see the Red Tornado again, which I was always a huge Red Tornado fan, and we get to see the Red Volcano as well.
Yeah, that was
Um,
pretty. That was a rough shift too, though. This issue was
yeah,
kind of. I'll fix his wonky ears. But yeah, that was an odd shift going from there to there. Like I had to take a break, like take a second, to actually make sure I didn't miss something.
hmm
It's just wonky, buddy. That's how it is now.
Is it working?
it's wonky, just like the Earth that they're on.
Yeah,
Yeah, it definitely is something that I think, although they're quick reads, you really can't skip anything. You really sometimes there are things that you need to reread, twice to make sure that you're catching exactly what's going on. Um, and so then we jump back to the Earth that they're on, and we then suddenly find out they run into basically Deathstroke and Captain Boomerang and Lex Luthor in his 1980s armor, and that's over. And they're standing over an unconscious Cassie, and that's kind of where the issue ends. Um, Now, as part of San Diego Comic Con, they kind of alluded to who was responsible for this Earth. Um, it is basically it is Mr. Mxyzptlk's son, Mickey Mxyzptlk. Um,
Mickey makes it look Jesus. More tongue twisters. That's an
exactly,
extra layer.
exactly. So yeah, we'll just call him Double M.
Double.
Um, so he is responsible for this world that he has created, kind of much like Pariah has created the worlds, though. Where the Justice Leaguers are. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. They have, obviously at some point they will meet up and they'll have to somehow defeat Mickey in order to. Funny that Mickey, man, was that a jab at Disney? Maybe that Mickey's the one that's causing all these problems.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Um,
Wouldn't put it
so
past him. Wouldn't put it past him.
yeah,
We
exactly.
did just have
Uh,
Dwayne in the new Thor movie.
True.
The Rock. Yeah.
There you go. So that's where the issue ends. We'll pick up next time where the three of them will be battling the Deathstroke and Captain Boomerang and Lex Luthor, and we'll see where we go from there. And I'm sure we'll have more revelations as we go along. But at one point they'll have to defeat Mickey in order to get back to where they're supposed to be. Assuming that they all do want to go back to where they're supposed to be, could Connor even get more enamored of the world that he's in and want to stay there even longer? Who knows? So
Might get a fight against
um,
him and them. We'll
yeah,
see.
exactly.
This is kind of bumming me out with Connor though, man. Like I was, we don't get much Connor anymore, especially now
Right.
that John's become of age and everything, and now that we're getting him, he's the broken one. I mean, maybe rightfully so though. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he'll, he wouldn't be the first Superboy who went rogue.
No, he would not.
So who knows? Um, then we move on to Flash, the Flash 784, which is part 2 of the search for Barry Allen.
This was
Um,
dope. This was really
it
dope.
was. It was again another really quick read. A lot of visuals played a large part of this, as opposed to I think the exposition. But we start right back in with the Mad Max Flash, um, and um, fittingly, Max Mercury is fighting the Mad Max Flash along with Jesse Quick.
Jesse Quick, yeah. That's
Um,
a cool design. I love the design of this Mad Max world that they got here too. It's pretty
right,
wicked.
right. So they come in, they jump in right in the middle of a chase that's going on between the Mad Max Flash and his pursuers, and when they finally meet each other, um, they basically, the Flash from this world basically says, "I have no idea who you are," so they immediately say, "Okay, this isn't our Flash then. This isn't our
Mhm.
Barry Allen."
Not just who they
Um,
are, how they can move so fast. So like
right.
he doesn't even seem I don't know, Speed Force positive.
Hmm.
Definitely doesn't.
Yeah. Um, so then we have Terra Mongus, um, and they basically, they have a couple of grenades that are going off, and things are exploding all around the three of them, and Jesse says basically, "I really hope that the others are having a better time," and we cut to Jai and Irie, who are in the Wayne, the Batman Flash.
Who are not having a better time.
Correct. Exactly. And they're just trying to get home now. They don't really care whether, they're just trying to get home. And suddenly we get the name of the character in this reality. It is Night Flash. Night Flash is basically the one who rules over this. And he
Full
says he's gonna.
spoiler on Night Flash though. That was actually said before this issue on this show when the writer Jeremy Adams was on. So be sure to go back and catch that rewind if you missed it.
Correct. And they basically, try to outrun the Night Flash. He's catching them, and then they finally get away. And just as they're about to try again to go home, they realize that they've lost the wrist thing to try to get home. So now they're
Classic
stuck there.
kid.
But in a scene that seems like it's reminiscent from the origin of Captain Marvel, Shazam. This dark figure in an alley basically says, "Come on over here. You don't have much time. Follow me." Um,
Which is
and so
better
they
than
go.
you want some candy. So
True, true. So we don't know who that is. We assume obviously next time we will find out in the next issue. But the Night Flash basically says, you can't hide from me forever. I'll find out who you are. And that's the end of that story for this issue. And then we finally flip to um, Wally and Ace in where we think the actual Barry Allen is. And the reason why we think that is because Wally basically says, "You know what? I think of this as the guy because although he is in an earlier time,
his
he
age
is he's an adult. He's the Barry Allen of age that we know to be
is
now."
the proper age, Barry. He's out of place in his time.
Correct. Correct. And so we have Barry sends Ace off to follow the Wally West of this world, and he's going to go and talk to Barry. And when he does, we flash back to the very first scene that we had in the search for Barry Allen, where Barry is punching the snot out of who we think is Eobard Thawne, but it actually is Wally
Wally.
West. But Barry sees him as the Reverse Flash,
So this
which if you
illusion
go
is so powerful. Yeah, the illusion that he's living in is so powerful that if outsiders come into it, they don't even look like themselves inside of it. They're perceived as so it's like I guess a safeguard in a sense that MM put into it. So if some intruder comes, they get woven into the fabric of this illusion. So I thought that was a cool little moment.
Yeah, and if you go back to our interview with Jeremy Adams, I actually asked him if the Reverse Flash that was killed in Flashpoint Beyond is the same one that's in the Flash that was getting beat up, and he kind of paused for a second. Then he kind of said something. Well, he's a paradox and everything, but he kind of he did pause, so he obviously knew. Well, I mean, obviously he knew
Yeah,
that it
he knew
wasn't the
the
same.
answer.
So yeah, he surprised himself when he wrote it. So we continue to get Barry basically beating the snot out of who is now Wally West, but appears to be the Reverse Flash. And we flash over to Ace, who is following the Wally West of this world, and he basically follows him. And then Wally says, "You have to come inside. That we've been waiting for you." And Wally's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, um, "Where's your flash suit?" And he's like, "What flash suit?" He goes, "I retired a long time ago. You're burst now." And as soon as he says that, a new uniform appears on Ace,
It was
and
a
he brings
cool
him in.
uniform too.
Exactly, and he brings him inside, and we have, to me, an exact replica of the final scene from Justice League Incarnate, of where Barry was sitting at the table, right? Um,
I
and
didn't make that connection, but that's pretty cool. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and basically, Ace is basically saying, I'm where I belong. I'm finally home. So now he has basically supplanted Barry in this world. But yeah, to me, that was the first thing I thought of. Like, I've seen that picture before. It's exactly the same thing. Um, and so we'll head to part 3 in the next thing, because that's where it ends. I really enjoyed this issue. It went by really fast. It was very easy to read. Again, there seemed to be a lot more going on with the pictures and everything, as opposed to the exposition. But
Contact.
I Jeremy Adams is I think he's just knocking it out of the park in the
Yeah, it's
Flash.
definitely a fun. He's doing a fun job on it more than anything. It's just been an enjoyable run to read.
Right. And so those are the 2 issues that came out. Now let's talk about the San Diego Comic-Con. As you mentioned last time, they had a Dark Crisis panel. They were expected. They announced that they were going to say something that was going to change how we thought about Dark Crisis Forever. And basically,
They did the opposite of that.
Yeah, what they announced was that it basically is a direct sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths, and the actual title of the entire series is Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. Which, let's be honest, I mean, it
Changes nothing.
Exactly.
Changes literally nothing. This you can say this is a direct sequel. It's not. We've had direct sequels. This is just picking up on events and running with them. That's all it is. That's all anything that follows something else is, and saying that the name is Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, and we didn't want to do that with issue 1 because it would be a spoiler, because in issue number 4, by means of whatever event, the Infinite Earths are back. Like, bro, that's 2 months away. You just spoiled it anyways. Like, what are you doing? Then it's not even a spoiler. We've had Infinite Earths at least, if you want to be like just conservative with it, at least over 2 years ago when the Omniverse was formed. Like, there's no new information in that whatsoever. I almost feel like it was a desperate play on DC to try to just be able to repump some early reprints on back issues with just a different cover. I don't know what they were thinking, but holding that information like it was about to be exciting when you hear it was not that big of. It was literally nothing to it.
Right.
Bum me out.
Yeah, me too. And they announced that they'll be, republishing the first couple of issues with the new title on it. So that's okay.
Told you it's a spoiler, but we're going to tell you now, and it's still at the point where it's a spoiler if that was even the reason. I shook my head so hard and hurt my neck. Oh my god.
Right. I mean, and the thing is, it's like, you have one of the main characters of Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? Pariah is the guy who's the main bad guy in this. You have him basically saying that he wants to bring all the Infinite Earths back. So it's not like it's been he's been talking about it for months.
And it's not a secret that this is following up, like, especially with him specific, his events and his part he played in the original Crisis, because they literally catch up readers with those events.
Right.
like in the prelude to this, the road to it and everything, they literally went back and covered that so that you would be in the know. And if you want to say that, it's a direct follow up to Flashpoint. It's a direct follow up to Death Metal, to all the other books that what was it, Swamp Thing Anniversary, where
Yeah.
the Great Darkness first appeared. I mean, it's a direct follow up to all of that. Like, this is such a cop out just to try to get a free little hype panel or something. I don't know. DC's presence at San Diego Comic-Con was severely lacking this year, and I don't know if it's because of the timing with the merger and they're just reshuffling, because that's what the company's been doing that for 5 years nonstop at this point. It's a little disheartening at times, but tell you what, I love the characters first and foremost, so I'm still going to be right here reading them.
Yeah, now I'm at the point where I'm just hoping that the execution is going to be a lot better than the hype.
Yeah, that's true. I think that I'm going to stick with our hype train, because DC doesn't know how to hype their own stuff at this point, because I don't think they need us. They need us, and they need to. I hope they heard what our hype train idea was for this, and I hope they make that a reality. Because if you do, that would slap. That would slap. We would have readers excited.
The best thing out of the announcement, I think, was they announced a couple more tie-ins. They announced Dark Crisis: A Deadly Green, which is Williamson, Dan Waters, Ram V, and a couple other people that will focus on Swamp Thing.
Dan Waters, that's a good team up on that book.
Right. And he tries to figure out, Swamp Thing tries to figure out, along with the Avatar of the Green, and supposedly Alan Scott and some other magical characters as well. Why the Great Darkness is teamed up with Pariah. So we have that going on.
It makes sense to bring them in, because again, it all started with the Great Darkness in Swamp Thing.
Right, exactly. So they could bring it full circle there. We had Dark Crisis: The Dark Army, which has Damian Wayne, Red Canary, Dr. Light, as they try to wrestle control of the Dark Army away from Pariah. And then we have Dark Crisis Warzone, which is basically the non-powered heroes. A look at the non-powered heroes through the eyes of Linda Park and Iris West, looking at how they basically have made it through Dark Crisis.
Linda has powers now.
Right. Excellent point. Excellent point.
Yeah, we're going to take a look. If that's the case, should we expect for her to not have these powers very long? I don't know. I do want to point out, they also did include in the announcement that, like, they're kind of, all right, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here and just jump back onto their side. Like, they did say that they're making this announcement now because everything that comes after this from here on out, everything's huge. Like what we've seen so far, like if you felt that the first two issues were okay, but nothing mind-blowing, that's how they feel about it. That's how the creators of this book feel about these first two issues. But he did say he's about to blow your minds with what's coming next. That's why he felt that it was okay to make this announcement at this point in time. I guess because he knows what's coming. So to lay this on there at the beginning of what's coming is like the true kickoff or something, because the fight with Nightwing and Deathstroke was cool, but, and so far it's just been kind of laying everything out. And he says everything that happens from here on out is just nuts. So I'm ready for it.
Yeah, and some of the things that have been teased, like, supposedly there was supposed to be an actual death of a major Justice Leaguer. We don't know which one, obviously, but, that's supposedly
Green Arrow's deader in hell right now. He's the only one that's deader in hell.
Right. So, again, I'm with you. I was very underwhelmed with the announcements, but I'm really kind of hoping that when it comes down to actually reading it, what they have left, that it's still hopefully it blows my mind away more than their announcements have. So,
yeah.
So, our next issue is basically, it's not even listed on the checklist, but Aquaman #6 is a tie-in to Dark Crisis. Deals with the death of Arthur Curry. That comes out this week, and then in 2 weeks we have Dark Crisis #3, and we also have Flashpoint Beyond #4 or 5. I don't recall which one.
I don't know, but I'm ready for that one.
Exactly.
I'm ready for that one.
Don't forget, make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about everything, about the Flash, about Young Justice, about the announcements from San Diego Comic-Con, because at the end, we will be giving away a complete set of all of the Dark Crisis, including all of its tie-ins, from Justice League number 75 all the way until it ends. So we'll be doing that at the end. Hopefully you'll be with us until then. That's going to do it for this Dark Crisis, DC Dark Crisis deep dive. As always, I am Paul. He is Mark.
But we are
Legion.
You're now leaving Sector 2815.